Hello, dear friends. I'm Carly Wharton, and welcome back to Owning Authenticity. In this video, I am going to talk about emotional eating and specifically four different kinds of emotional eating. And my only accreditation in this area is my own personal experience, and I will be right up front with you and tell you I am in the very early stages of correcting my binge eating or emotional eating habit slash pattern that I currently hold in my life. I truly believe that the first step to any personal transformation is awareness, and being aware when you're doing something is the first step to stopping that behavior. I recently had an experience where, just tell the long version of the story because I don't think it'll take too long. But I watched a video that YouTube suggested that was an episode of a show called Fit to Fat to Fit, and it follows personal trainers who are in great shape, probably have been their whole entire life, and takes them through a journey of gaining 30% of their body weight in 4 months and then losing that weight in another 4 months. And so it documents their whole entire journey. And when I watched that episode, which led to, I watched about 8 episodes that first day. I like to binge lots of things, not just food. It's part of my personality. When I find something I like, I just want more of it. So, of course, I fall into this rabbit hole of Fit to Fat to Fit, and watching them gain the weight and watching the food that they were eating to try to gain the weight was basically my normal diet. And then to watch all of these previously very happy people, very content, satisfied people, to watch them be sucked into this pit of depression, this spiral of depression that just got worse and worse and worse and worse from the second the experiment started, to the point where at 4 months, they are truly sick of it. They are so depressed, so lethargic, so just checked out of life, don't even want to be here. Like, this sucks. I don't feel good and I'm not excited about life. And then taking that out, that bad mood, taking that out on everyone around them. So to witness somebody else go through this transformation of going from a healthy vehicle to putting all of those fast foods and processed foods and soda and everything else, like putting that in there and watching what it did to the person's emotions, I feel like I had a light bulb moment that I want to say it changed me forever, but what it really did was bring my emotional eating to the surface. Because at meal times, I don't normally overeat. I snack throughout the day sometimes, mostly in the evening though, where like throughout the day, I might eat great or hardly anything. And then in the evening, consume in one sitting this gigantic pile of food and then go to bed with a big round belly, which eat to the point where your stomach hurts. It's so full it hurts that all you can do is go lay down. And watching these trainers like try to pack on the pounds, like watching them binge until they felt sick, and some of them even did throw up, and realizing like I've lived this like every day by choice. And it shifted something in my mindset where I don't even think I was aware that I was doing it for a really long time until I saw this show and I got to see the behavior completely outside of myself, completely detached. It's a show about weight gain and weight loss and whatever else. And like, okay, cool. Going into it completely not knowing that this transformation is about binge eating. This is about emotional eating. So in this video, I want to talk about four specific kinds of emotional eating and what those look like in my life. And maybe this helps build your awareness around your behaviors. Like I said, I only have my own personal experience to draw from, but I will take every single learning that I can from my own personal experience and put it into these videos. So the first kind of emotional eating is stress eating. So when we're stressed out, when the mindset is go, 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 I'm in such a hurry. I need to grab something quick. So at this point, it makes the most sense to just swing through a drive-through or order a pizza on the way home because I'm so stressed out. I can't handle one more task. I don't have time to prioritize making healthy food. That takes too much time. I don't have the capacity. That place of like stress eating from a place of convenience, um, like you don't have time to prioritize your health. One of the episodes of Fit to Fat to Fit, the guy was like, I don't have time for health because I have work. I'm working because if I don't make money and I don't pay the bills, then I have nothing. And the trainer, rightfully so, was like, if you don't take care of your health, you literally have nothing. Like that, I don't know if that guy heard it, but it felt like it was talking to me anyway. So, it's all good. Um, it just really clicked that I'm trying to do all of these things in my life and make this positive difference in the world. Meanwhile, I'm completely ignoring my vehicle that is responsible for getting me around to do this amazing work that my soul wants so badly to do. Um, so that is the first is stress. And I think there's a reason that I couldn't come to this place of awareness until now, because these last several months, especially, have been a lot about slowing down for me, uh, taking so many things off my plate to the point where my plate is basically empty, and then intentionally leaving it empty. And that's where I've been living for a few months now. And I've finally slowed myself down to the place where I have an abundance of time to invest in my health, in my well being, in my own longevity. Um, I have the time because I've prioritized and I've released so many different things, um, that just I thought I needed to continue them and I didn't. And spending the time on things that don't matter, at the end of the day, if you don't have time for yourself, what else matters more than you being alive to continue everything else? That seemed like a no-brainer to me when the client and the coach are having that conversation. Um, the second type, so this stress eating, the first type is one that I don't experience that one a whole lot. And this is good to know. It's good to know your own patterns. It's good to know where are you mostly making, like tripping yourself up, shooting yourself in the foot. Just again, for the pure point of awareness, not to change the behavior, not to try to force yourself to do something different, but to just be aware and see what that awareness, see what that spotlight will do all by itself, because it will change. The first step to change is awareness. And once you have awareness, the rest is inevitable. Um, so I'm aware that stress and stress eating isn't so much where my binging, my emotional eating is coming from for me anymore. It definitely used to be. There was a time where every night after work, I would go through the drive-through because the thought of doing one more thing just sounded like more than I could handle. Like it was gonna just like push me over the edge. So fast food, like that was how I survived for a good long while because that was the best I could do. And sometimes it's the best we can do. This next one is a lot where I suffer currently, I do believe, and that's boredom eating. This is what happens to me in the evening when I really don't have enough energy to do something physical. I don't have the physical energy, I don't have the mental energy to do something like real. So I munch. And this is enough of an entertainment, plus usually some TV. And that is most of where my emotional eating is coming from, is like I am flat out bored and uncomfortable in the boredom. And instead of filling that time with things that are healthy habits and things that are supporting me, that was the habit that I had gotten into, I think, coming out of stress eating, honestly, because stress eating was such a place of exhaustion and boredom eating is really not. It's like just nothing really is ringing my bell right now. Like I don't really feel like doing anything, so I'm gonna sit here and eat. And that was me basically every evening, was like every day I've done all the things that I wanted to do and I'm out of stuff that I want to do. So I'm going to sit here in front of the TV and eat. And that was how I relaxed at the end of the day. And again, things aren't inherently bad. It's not necessarily bad that you do that if that's where you are, because again, that's where I was for a long time. But at the same time, like when my body is standing in my way, instead of supporting me, I need a different relationship with my body because I don't have another one. This is the only body that I have. So that boredom eating is an interesting one. And I don't have a lot of answers about that right now. I got to think in theory, fill your time with other things. Um, like read a book, like do something. And yet that feels out of reach. I'll continue to pay attention and keep you posted. That's the best I got on that one. The next one is shame eating. And I spent a lot of time here in my early, like late teens, early 20s, where I didn't like my life. I didn't like a lot of things about my life. The vast majority didn't like it. And I lived inside that life that I didn't like and inside myself that I didn't like. And eating was like the only treat I had. Like watching binge, I remember like one semester of college where I binged like the whole series of Nip Tuck and ate boxes and boxes and boxes of the sour Mike and Ike's. Like just boxes, and probably gained a lot a lot of weight that semester because it felt like all I could do. Like the only good thing in my life was this sour Mike and Ike right here that I pop in my mouth, one right after the other for hours on end. Um, and at that same time was kind of the height of my like being diagnosed as bipolar. My mood swings, my emotions were so up and down and so unpredictable. And the ups were short and the downs were down and long and varying degrees of depression. That was basically my life. And I thought that that was normal, and now have come to learn the super damaging effects that sugar, especially, can have on our emotions, on our mood, on our entire outlook on the world. The food that we eat, we think about what it does to our bodies, but how often do we really think about what it does to our minds? Um, and so that's a spiral. That's a vicious cycle that I personally have been caught in, and it is so hard to get out. And I have so much compassion for anybody that's stuck in a shame eating spiral, because we don't feel good about ourselves, so we eat because that's all we have, and then we're bigger and we're less healthy and we feel worse, and we feel worse about ourselves, and so we eat more because again that's all we have, and it just gets worse and worse and worse until what? I mean, for me, I was contemplating suicide for like the third time in my life, and had this fracturing moment where I was done with this suffering. I was ready and I was open to whatever could help me. Bring it to me, universe. Like I'm open. Give it to me. I'm in. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. I was ready. And I think that's a pretty basic concept. Like when we're ready to make a change, we do. And the answer is like, how much suffering are we willing to put up with? What is our health really worth to us? And that shame eating spiral, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one to work our way out of. And for me, it didn't really happen. I didn't get out of a shame eating spiral by trying to kill that behavior. I worked on my deservability. I worked on my worthiness. I worked on my self love. I worked on liking myself better exactly as I was, focusing on the things that I did like about myself instead of the laundry list of all the things I wish were different, but I couldn't seem to change. Focusing on the things in my life that I was grateful for, that like blessings that I had already manifested, things in my life that were working out very well for me, focusing on those on purpose, it changed everything. When I felt good about myself, the shame eating, it wasn't even there. Like the spark of it's having to start with you feel bad about yourself. That's where shame eating spiral starts. So if you feel good about yourself, there's no shame eating spiral. And there will be moments, I still have moments where there's a hard minute. There's a hard minute emotionally where maybe you made a mistake, maybe you hurt somebody's feelings, maybe whatever it is, you got some bad feedback at work, you're feeling down on yourself. So just because you're not shame eating all the time doesn't mean that there's not still moments where you have a bad day emotionally, and that isn't an old habit that doesn't pop right back to the surface. And another big one on that, along with practicing deservability, was journaling, because I found that on a daily basis, I was trying to journal my highlights, like what were the good things about my day. But if there was something where my emotions have a grip on me, in a negative way, like they're holding on to me, I feel held back by my emotions, I'll just start writing and describing what I feel, and not in an attempt to try to change it, just in an attempt to try to switch out of the discomfort that I'm experiencing into an observation mode where I open myself up to receive whatever message these emotions and this discomfort is trying to communicate to me. I have to be open to all the emotions. So that is hard to do when you don't like yourself. So shame eating, I do believe, is so linked to our sense of worthiness. When we have a strong sense of worthiness, shame eating, it just kind of falls away. And the last one, this is also where I exist currently, that I'm realizing, is celebration eating. So eating to celebrate, eating because you feel so good about whatever happened. Either it's an accomplishment, or it's just overall a really good day, or it's a special occasion, or whatever. And your go-to when you're celebrating is to go get a burger, or go get a Blizzard from Dairy Queen, or have a few beers, or whatever it is. Those habits, and this is something that I'm realizing about myself, like I'm celebrating taking steps forward, and yet the way I celebrate, it feels like taking a step back. So it's like, is that really what I want? Because I'm celebrating moving forward by taking a step back. And that, to me, it feels so counterproductive on like a logical, efficient kind of mindset path. On like my observation mode, I'm observing my behaviors and noticing how my body feels as a result of these behaviors. And I'm noticing that, yeah, I'm celebrating progress by moving backwards. And that just like doesn't sit well with me as like a scientist. So here we are trying to figure out like how to celebrate my steps forward by either standing still or maybe taking another step forward. The other day I celebrated by going out to the reservoir that's like 5 minutes from my house, and there's a swimming beach, and I took my shoes and socks off and walked in the beach on walked in the beach on the water, walked in the water on the beach. Like Jesus over here, walking on water. Um, yeah, yeah. And I celebrated by exposing myself to nature and this like blissful vacation like 30 minutes of letting the water wash over my feet and feeling the sand and using my toes to draw hearts in the sand, and like spending some time like that as a means of celebration instead of consuming like a Blizzard, which is, don't even get me started on the nutritional facts. I've been looking at the nutritional facts on everything, and I genuinely believe that this is helping me more than anything. Is I'm not trying to stop myself from binge eating. I'm trying to raise my awareness, celebrating my awareness around my behavior and my consciousness. Like, am I consciously choosing these things, or am I on some kind of autopilot mode? So even, just a few days ago, as I was binging, I was still measuring what I was having. I tracked every bit of it in my keto app, and recorded the massively I mean, I blew my stats out of the water in not a good way, but I tracked all of it. I continued to be mindful and conscious, at least aware of the calories of the 3D nacho Doritos that I was putting into my body. I tracked the nutrients of that, and as a means of like scientifically observing cause and effect. Like, I put this food in my body and here's how I feel. Here's how I poop. Here's how my brain feels. Here's all those metrics that like we have real-time access to. Here's how my emotions are. Here's how That's a really interesting one, that I will leave you with, as far as like how our food relates to our self-care. um, for 2 days, this is so random. Every morning I do my self-care. I do journaling. Lola, you need in there, baby kitty? So every day, my goal is to do my self-care in the morning. So, like, first thing I do is I invest that energy and attention into myself. And I see that it's like rippled out and magnified throughout the whole rest of the day. Besides the point, done this every day for years now. And for whatever random set of Mercury retrograde type circumstances, I ended up doing my self care later in the day. So, starting my day differently than I normally do, starting it with other people, and later getting to my self care. And both of those days, I binged like to the excess of 1,000 calories, like in one sitting, added on to my supper calories. So, like, probably 1,500 calories in that one sitting. And I did that 2 days in a row. And again, from the perspective of observing and just noticing and seeing and playing and experimenting, I noticed that 2 days in a row, I've had a massive food binge at the end of the day. And those same 2 days, I didn't do my morning self care. And hmm, interesting. So, day three, I'm gonna make a really concerted effort to get into my morning self care, which for me is a gratitude list that's several pages long, usually, and any other journaling that I'm inspired with, meaning like whatever other emotions want to pop up, or if I had a dream that's like really hanging with me. Um, so get that journaling out. And so I did several pages, and I am happy to report that last night, which would have been, day three, the end of day three, I was so excited, like my little science experiment, like I did my self-care, am I gonna food binge? And I am happy to report that I had one extra serving of almonds, and that is it. Everything else was inside of what I should have, quote unquote, like my hunger, my physical hunger needed me to eat these things. Plus, I had a few extra almonds, which is not perfect, but I counted it anyway. So I have one day of no food binge under me belt, and I'm hoping today is day two. This is a cycle that I've started more times than I can count. The highest that I've gotten to recently is 13 days without a food binge. So that gives me hope that I have room to grow and I have a nice basis starting out. Speaking of starting out, because this is still very new to me, if you have any emotional eating or binge eating resources or other people in this space that you respect and think that myself and anybody else watching this video could benefit from, I invite you to share that in the comments. Along with your experience of these 4 types of emotional eating. If you can think of other types of emotional eating, please share those as well. I'm mostly interested to start a conversation and bring this out of the darkness and put it in the light where we can talk about it and not feel bad about it. Just own that this is what's happening and let that be the first step in moving towards habits and aligned behaviors that leave our bodies feeling as good as they possibly can, so that the end goal of all of these videos is so that our soul can do what it came here to do. So I hope this has been helpful. If you are one that is going through a journey related to emotional eating, just know that you are not alone. There are lots of us out there who have this habitual behavior, and like zombies, we're over here just eating, eating, eating. And breaking out of that is hard. It's hard to do, but every single personal improvement that we ever make will always begin with awareness. So even just watching this video is a powerful step forward. I commend you for it. Until next time, dear friend, you take good, good care of yourself. And so will I.